My name is Patricia Sandoval. I'm real pleased to be back here from our international tour. We had the privilege of speaking at a presentation dedicated to language and technology in Australia, and it was about the Miramar software, which was actually developed in Australia. So we're speaking here today about the grant that we received from the Administration for Native Americans Health and Human Services. We are a school, Santa Fe Indian School, and I don't know why we just have a real problem with technology here, is that anywhere we go, anywhere to speak, we have a problem with the technology coming up, which is okay, because I wrote the PowerPoint presentation, so I know what it says anyway. So we're real fortunate that we were able, with our partner, Indigenous Languages Institute, and our other partner, the Aboriginal Language Center from Australia. These are our two partners that went into this grant with us. This is the third year of our grant. And I am the project director of the grant, and here is Virginia Velasquez, and she is the actual project coordinator. She's the one that does the work of the grant. And I'm gonna have her come over here because she's going to, this is our t-shirt here that we created for part of our grant, and I don't know if you can see it, but it says, "Let's talk." Then it has the languages that we've been able to teach there at Santa Fe Indian School. So I don't know how many of you, raise your hand if you know anything about Santa Fe Indian School. Oh, that's great. Then I don't have to say too much about us. We are a tribally controlled school. We are a 10297 school. We are owned by the 19 Pueblo governors of New Mexico, and I see one of our former governors there in the audience. We have a demographic of
So you've got it plugged in, right?
teaching all, from any given year, we will teach students from all of the 19 Pueblos. We also teach students from throughout the Southwest. We actually have students also this year from that are Creek, Muskogee, from Umatilla, is it? Umatilla up in Oregon. That's actually the Schimmel kids. There's quite a few of them. We're teaching them now. And who else? Sioux, so Hopi. So we have students from throughout the Southwest and beyond. We actually have a student from Canada this year. So that's kind of why you would need a program like this, our grant, because we have students from all across the country, and they want to learn their language. So this program actually lends itself, the way we've created it at Santa Fe Indian School, lends itself to teaching multiple language learners. So, gee. Okay, we'll keep on going, all righty. Let me see. We had some really nice pictures to show you of Santa Fe Indian School. I do want them to come up at some point here. Okay, let me go ahead and go on. Logistics. Demographics, that's our demographic. Students from all of the 19. And so when we wrote this grant, like I said, we wrote it as a partner with Indigenous Languages Institute, and we decided we would use the methodology of how do you say. Come on, please. All righty.
Okay, I'll just kind of go
Okay,
through 'em
please
real
go
quick.
through this real
What?
quickly here.
Hold on.
All right, there's Santa Fe Indian School, learner-driven language course for multiple languages. Go ahead, next. We already lost 5 minutes. There's some information that we went ahead and left in there. We had just presented, this was part of the presentation at Australia, but there's a lot of people in the world out there that think we're extinct. So it's really important that when we go out and we present, we say, you know what, we're not extinct. We're still here, and we still have language. Santa Fe Indian School. Go ahead, Verge. 700 students. We're still a day in dorm. There we are. And, okay, so a little bit about tribal languages in New Mexico. For those of you that are not aware, the New Mexico Indian Education Act, Section 4, speaks specifically to ensuring maintenance of native languages. So if you are in the state of New Mexico and you are a tribe working on language, you probably have intergovernmental relationship that you've established with the state of New Mexico. And individual tribes are responsible for developing their own criteria and standards for certifying their language teachers. And I know that we have a number of certified language teachers here in the audience. And the language teacher then applies through the state of New Mexico to get licensure so that they can teach language. A native language at Santa Fe Indian School. So we actually have several programs at Santa Fe Indian School. We have the classes that are taught in the class, certified language teachers. So we teach the Keras classes, Cochiti and Kiowa, Santo Domingo, and at the request of the tribal governments, these are for those students only. Then we teach Tewa class. In the Tewa classes, we have teachers from Santa Clara and Okeowinge, and all of those Tewa students can go into either of those classes, and we make sure we recognize that it's the Santa Clara dialect, it's the Okeowinge dialect, and to recognize that there are dialect shifts and changes from each of the different pueblos. That's the main disclaimer that we have, that the teachers make for those students, that it's their responsibility to go back to their communities and to ask, how would you say this in San Ildefonso or at Nambe or whatever the other class is. We also have the Navajo language class, which is the dual credit class with the Institute of American Indian Arts. Then we have the after school program, which is the program that we're going to speak about here in a second. I think this is really important, but I'm not going to say too much about this, because this is a whole nother presentation altogether. But up till last year, we did not have a formal language team at Santa Fe Indian School. We were offering these classes, and there was an assumption that was made that the tribes were responsible and were providing professional development to the language teachers. So we really didn't worry about that. We were given students a grade A, B, C, D for the classes. But what we found out is that we had to shift from a pass-fail grade. And the reason for that was because the teachers, the certified language teachers, they didn't, and this is no disrespect to the teachers, obviously, because you're the jewel. If you're a language teacher in our community, you're a jewel. But the language teachers did not know the conversation of classroom teachers. Curriculum, standards, assessments, all of those things that are required for a school program, they're not part of the conversation of community language programs. So what we did is we established a formal language team, and it was made up of administrators and our language teachers, and Virginia and I are both part of that, and we were both the creators of that team. And the reason for this is because we wanted to be able, as the school language team, to discuss all of the larger issues of language, some of the things that Ine referenced in her little discussion this morning, but also to be able to provide professional development for our Santa Ana. How are you? I just recognized. Hi, Santa Ana.
Right here.
They're one of our partners, so I'm happy to see them. Is Juan here? No, okay. He's probably teaching, that's why, right, over at Bernalillo. But one of the things that we needed to do at Santa Fe Indian School was to begin to work with our language teachers to provide professional development on developing curriculum frameworks. And of course, when you're talking about curriculum frameworks, you're talking about creating lesson plans and unit plans, but also creating assessments so that we could actually, we want to move from, it should not be a pass-fail. For us, not being able to give the student a grade is a detriment to that student. We want them to be able to earn an A or a B. We don't want to just say, well, you got a credit, pass, fail. But the only way we can do that is if we actually have an assessment in place. So we are working with our teachers this year. We came up with some awesome curriculum. and some lesson plans, unit plans. We are working on assessment this year. But the other thing was that we offered the professional development to the mentors in our ANA grant, because one of the outcomes that we wanted from the grant was for us to also take those mentors, if they were not already certified, and to move them towards certification. Go ahead, Virg.
I'm sorry. Going to sleep here.
So the grant objectives were to provide the opportunity for all of the students at the school to participate, to use the community expertise, because there is a lot of community expertise out there. We're very fortunate in that here as the Pueblos, the language is still strong, and that we wanted to move the students toward proficiency. That was the big thing. And part of the grant, it's, you know, you always have to be careful, you know this, what you put into a grant, because they're funding you, and now they want to, what's the expectation that they want to see these outcomes? Geez, funny, grants are funny like that.
I'm sorry.
The Neely, right? The assessment that we elected to use was the Northwest Indigenous Languages Institute benchmarks. Right now what we're doing is we're looking at the WIDA, which is a different type of assessment that's used in schools right now, but right now we're using the Neely as for this program to move us towards, to ensure that our students are moving towards speaking the language. The objective is to create speakers of the language. And so the methodology that we are using as part of this grant is the, how do you say? Okay, so at this point I'm going to give it over to Virginia, and Virginia will explain kind of the use of the how do you say and the technology that we're using at Santa Fe Indian School.
Good morning, everyone. Kwetsi Hopa. I am from San Felipe, and I am in the classroom this year with 18 students. All the languages in New Mexico except Apache and Dene. I don't have them this year. I've had them in previous years. And I do have Hopi and Muskogee in my class. So how do I say? I'm not going to repeat what Ine said about the program and how it's supposed to work. But basically, when a child signs up to come into the program, they have an application, create an application. The application has two parts, their information, and the second part is the mentor. Before they can come into the program, they have to find a mentor. And I have to go to what Ine said when she talked about fluent and proficient. I just encourage speakers, because when you throw that word out, proficient or even fluent, I am not in the ballpark, but I can speak it. I speak enough to teach my grandchild, who's a student in this program, what he wants to learn. So proficient is good. We want them there, but right now I say, and I tell my students and their mentors, so long as you speak the language some, you're good to go. So we start with that, and basically this is how it works in the class. We start with getting started, and we have those phrases that are in there, but we also realize that in those phrases getting started, some don't apply to us. So we change and we put in what we need. And the first thing I say is, who are you asking? Who's your mentor? What's the relationship? So the first thing my grandson learned was, Papa, gua et natsase. And before he can ask me anything, as a mentor, I have to reinforce that all the time. And then I turn it around and ask him, Papa, gua et natsashu. So that he's hearing the word, He recognizes it in conversation with people. But what we do is we start with those, and we use a recorder called the Zoom. That instrument was recommended to us by Darren McKinney, who wrote the program Miramar. So the kids go home with tool in hand, and that's their homework for the weekend. And I encourage them to ask, because I have mid-schoolers. My high school kids are okay, but my mid-schoolers, they forget their homework. They forget to ask mom for this or that, or even tell them what's going on at school. So I have to also give an assignment, and the assignment is, what else do you want to learn? Put down what you want to ask your mentor this weekend. I have a couple that don't go home, so they use telephone, and we record it over my telephone, put it right to the Zoom, and we capture the language that way. But they take this home, they get their phrases or their words. Usually it starts out with words. They want to learn words. And I don't mind that because it gives me a way to teach the other component of our program, which is the Miramar. How many of you here know about Miramar?
Good.
Cool. Miramar is a database, and one of the things I have to tell parents and communities, I'm looking at my time, is that the language belongs to the tribes, and I respect that. So one of the things that I make sure that they understand is this is locked. I can access it, but the kids are the only ones that have access to it. No one else can come in and take the work that they're doing and do whatever we're afraid that they will do with our language. But the kids create their files. Each kid has the language that they're going to be working with. This is my grandson. Who can tell me something they notice on the screen that is not correct? The spelling of Karis. And it's important. It's the first thing that I tell my kids. It doesn't matter. Our language is not written. Some of them are. Some of them are forbidden to be written. It's however you are going to remember. I had a little boy from Laguna who wrote Wayush. You know how he spelled it? Y-U-S-H. Wayush. And I thought that was cute. And I left it at that because when he reads that word, he knows what he's talking about. So anyway, so the kids create a database. Next slide. And this is kind of like what Miramar looks at. In this case, and we took this off last year, he has 147 things entered in here. First, the students need to record the native word, and if you go to the next slide, we can see that. They put in the word that they're learning. They put the translation, and then something that Miramar did for us, and those of you who are really going to the speaking piece, is the sentences there. Under sentence 2, he has Hakani Gayat. I don't remember what's under sentence 3, but now he's using that same word, Hakani, to do other words with, or other phrases with that word. They put in an image, and then in the audio, when they click on the audio, the word, either he records it himself because he's learned it, or my voice will come over the sound. But I'm the mentor, but you know what? His uncle's voice is on there. His other grandma's voice is on there. Because when we say intergenerational community involvement, when I don't know how to say something, I do exactly what Ine said. I go and I ask. I'll ask my sister. I'll ask his uncle to give the proper way of saying it for a man, because I don't know that. But anyway, although it's not filled in here, if you take your time and you really fill in things like parts of speech, you use a sentence with this, you give any other information that you want. If you look at the top left corner, and on there, although you don't see it all, it says added me to Pueblo names means person from. That's his note. So when I say Katja me, person from San Felipe, Ago me. So that's something that he learned and he put there so that he remembers it. So how do I say? Kids go home with the recorder, they ask their mentor, how do I say, in this case, in my case, Papa ko at nansasi. And sometimes it's just a word, sometimes it's a phrase, and then it's recorded, and in that little recorder, the Zoom, there's an SD card. All that information is on there, so we take out that SD card, we put it into the computer, and we use Audacity. Audacity helps us manipulate the audio piece of this whole thing. Sometimes the kids are recording and there's noise in the background, but with Audacity you can silence some of the background noise, and you clip out just the piece that you want recorded. We started out using, how do I say, and then like, I don't understand. Then I would ask, what's the key word in that phrase? Understand. So understand went into our dictionary or into our database. And under sentence 1 would be, I don't understand. So that word keeps coming up. So we use Audacity, and if the kids have done really well, this same program, everything they put in their database, very quickly becomes a dictionary that looks like a dictionary you would buy in the store. It's awesome.
Okay, let's go to the presentations.
So I want to show you 2 ways that we have kids show. One of the things I realize is kids need to be made to speak the language. I have a lot of kids who understand well, but they don't speak. So we do things like this.
Stories. Sound. I used it. I'm sorry.
Okay, where's her? Sha'atit anineyash shu. Ariki niachashu te shashimawano. Sha'ayashpa noskurushu. Shiu kaminu pandehate ani ishat nikwashu. Yashpa yuk nyunushu. She'e aninita shu. Quishchi kaicha nishkiramashu. Kainano dinuta akashu. Hemeyo munuera kowichan.
That's a how to do something. And here's a completely different way of doing the same thing.
Na in ong ayo. Wemune I bue na tsikapo di unda un ayo oku. Ipu ashanki na ya. Hei oku wi na yo pi. E pu e na ta o pu we na. Hei dima deke kon kiwi he tenki. Hei pu e ne yoka. Hei oku na tampo.
So those are some ways right now. The entire class is working on the unit on relationship, and all of them have to do a digital story. I have some that are on PowerPoint, and they include the language, and they have to introduce mom with the Indian name. Everything has to be in the language. So they're introducing their immediate as well as extended family. This weekend, we're taking a trip to the Cultural Center, and the purpose behind that is so that the students are going to hear our tribal leadership position names and how that kind of plays into language.
Okay.
Voila, we're done.
Strengths and challenges. Strengths and challenges, but we're not going to get into it. So it's that we were able to put this into the middle school's curriculum this year. We met with the principal, and he put it into the regular class, which is something that we were hoping that we were going to be able to achieve. It was one of our objectives. So what that means is that Virginia knows that she's going to get a certain number of kids every single day or every other day so that she can work with. So that was a big plus for us. And Virginia, by the way, is an extraordinary teacher coordinator. I just need to acknowledge her.